Salute, book buddies! You're watching MW, I'm Matt Johnson. Welcome back to another episode of myView on books. In this episode, we're going to review Agatha Christie's The Murder on the Lynx. Alright guys, so The Murder on the Lynx is the third book from Agatha Christie. So she's a very famous author. She's written over 100 books only of murder mystery genre. So this is a murder mystery novel and it is a Poirot series. So for those who do not know Poirot, Poirot is a Belgian detective. He's not as famous as Sherlock Holmes, but he's a very famous detective when it concerns mystery books and detective genre. So this is the second novel that involves Poirot the detective, and the first one was, I think, the Mysterious Affair at Styles. That was a very good novel, and here again it's a murder mystery genre. So Agatha Christie is famous for murder mystery, and you always have a murder at the very beginning, and a detective is trying to solve it, or somebody is trying to solve it. So here it is the same plot, but it's in a different setting with different set of characters, and the narration is, beautifully narrated without any dull moments. So we see that Poirot and his friend Hastings. So the whole novel or story is presented in Hastings' point of view. So he explains what he's doing as well as what's been happening, and he explains how Poirot is solving the crime. So we see that this story is about a husband, wife and a son. So Mr. Renault and Mrs. Renault, and their son Mr. Jack Renault. So Mr. Renault writes a letter to Poirot that his life is in danger, that he needs his assistance. And when Poirot and his friend Hastings arrive at the villa of Mr. Renault, we see that he's been murdered and dead. So that's where the story begins, and that's the inciting incident. Who killed Mr. Renault, and what was the motive behind it? Was it one person or more than an organized crime, planned murder? So this is how the story begins, and Poirot is a very methodological detective. He does not miss out any minor details, and if you see, if you don't read just as a novel, but if you try to solve the crime from whatever details that are presented to you with the book through the narration, you will enjoy it a lot. So every chapter I was reading and I was trying to guess who could have murdered and what was the motive. But one of the highlights of this particular novel is the last 5-6 chapters. Every chapter had a twist. So it will come to a conclusion that this particular person had murdered the guy, but there will be a twist, and we'll find out it was another person, and it was another person. So it goes on till like 5-6 chapters, and you'll be blown over because it's a very, very, very unique story. And the highlight is that the story doesn't end quickly. It keeps on having twists, and I enjoyed it a lot. So you can read the story and try to solve the crime along with Poirot. It's very fun and amusing, and yeah, the narration is good. There's no dull moments. I think there are 28 chapters in the book, and around 300 pages in length. So it's very easy to read. Every chapter ends with a end point where you can't stop reading. So you have to go to the next chapter and start reading. So it's addictive, and you will feel like you want to know what's going to happen, and who is the murderer, what is their motive, why did they kill, was it a planned, and how was it planned? So was there any change in plan, was there any improvisation? So the whole story revolves around this solving the murder of Mr. Renault, and we see a lot of twists towards the end, and that is one of the major highlights. I think just for the twists you should read this novel, definitely do check out this novel, The Murder on the Lynx by Agatha Christie. So Agatha Christie novels are not a continuing series, but a standalone novel. So the characters might recur. So in this case, Poirot the detective and his friend are recurring characters, but you don't have to read the older novels to not read this novel. So you can read this separately as a standalone story. So do purchase this book in any form, paperback or Kindle version, and read it. You're going to enjoy this. You will not regret wasting your time, because it's so fun and amusing to read this book, trying to solve a crime along with Poirot. And I hope you enjoyed this episode on my view on books. We'll catch up in a different episode. Until then, it's MaddiE Dawson. You're watching MWM. Bye bye.